So, what does the Shield of India actually mean? It's a story about a huge sacrifice, but we're not going to start in the past. We're starting right here, right now.
All right, let's jump in. And we're not starting hundreds of years ago. I want you to picture this. You're in Auckland, New Zealand. It's a community hall filled with the sound of soulful hymns. People are there for a solemn remembrance. But here's the thing. They're marking an anniversary for something that happened 350 years ago and thousands of miles away. And here's what's so wild, so incredible about this whole thing. The man they're honoring, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, he gave his life to protect the religious freedom of a community that wasn't even his own. I mean, think about that. So it brings up this huge question, right? A question we're going to dig into today. What inspires that kind of devotion, that powerful memory across centuries and entire continents? So, to really get the why, we've got to look at the how. How is this modern community, all the way in New Zealand, keeping this incredible legacy of courage alive for the next generation?
So, how do you make a 350-year-old story feel real? Tangible? Well, the event at Shree Dashmesh Darbar was just a masterclass in it. It wasn't just some somber service, it was a whole experience. You had soulful music, a special booklet made just for the kids, even a commemorative coin. But what really stands out to me is the focus on community. You had leaders from different faiths speaking, and then everyone, and I mean everyone, shares a meal together. It's called Langar, and it's all about equality. It's just a powerful way to make history come alive. Okay, so now that we've seen the modern-day tribute, let's rewind. Let's go way back in time to meet the man at the very center of this story. Because to understand his sacrifice, you really have to understand his life. And it was a journey of just incredible transformation. You could almost think of his life in three distinct acts. First, as a young man, born Tyagmal, he proves himself a warrior in battle. That's where he earns the name Tegh Bahadur, which means brave sword. Pretty cool, right? But then comes this incredible twist. He spends 20 years, 2 decades, in deep solitary meditation. And then finally, the third act. He emerges from that solitude and is recognized as the 9th Guru, a spiritual leader for his people. And this quote, this really sums up his entire philosophy. Live without fear and do not cause fear in others. It's so simple but so profound, isn't it? Basically, be brave, stand tall, but make sure your actions bring peace, not terror, to the people around you. And this idea, this would become the absolute bedrock for the toughest, most defining decision he would ever have to make. All right, so now we're at the turning point. This is the moment that set him on a path of no return, the moment that would define his legacy for all time. So imagine this. A group of Hindu scholars, the Kashmiri Pandits, they come to him completely desperate. They're being forced by the Mughal rulers to convert to Islam or face death. I mean, it's an impossible choice. Their absolute last hope is to appeal to Guru Tegh Bahadur to help them defend their basic human right to worship freely. And here's the crucial part. This is the whole ballgame. Instead of telling them to raise an army or to fight, he offers himself. He literally makes his own life the shield for another community's freedom. He tells them, go back to the Mughal emperor and give him this message. If you can convert me, we will all convert. He knew exactly what that challenge meant. It was a death sentence. And that unbelievably courageous and selfless act set him and his closest companions on a final journey to Delhi. And it was there, in the public square of Chandni Chowk, that their faith, their resolve, would be tested in the most brutal ways you can even imagine. To try and break his spirit, the authorities executed his most beloved followers right in front of him. And the methods, they were just unimaginable. But here's the thing. Every single one of them, Bhai Mate Das, Bhai Dayal Das, and Bhai Sati Das, they faced their fate with this unwavering faith. They refused to back down, refused to abandon their principles or their guru. Yeah, this slide really gets to the heart of it all. This wasn't just a choice between living and dying. It was a choice between taking the easy way out, getting power, wealth, safety, and standing up for a universal principle, the right for all people to believe what their conscience tells them to. He chose the principle. And so on that day, November 24th, 1675, in Delhi's Chandni Chowk, after refusing to convert, after watching his friends be martyred, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji was publicly executed. As the saying goes, he gave his head, but not his faith. But that martyrdom, it wasn't an end.
In so many ways, it was just the beginning. His sacrifice lit a fire, a spark of courage that would totally transform Sikh history and inspire countless others to be brave. And you could see that courage immediately. Right after the execution, with guards everywhere, two of his followers performed these incredible acts of devotion. You have Bhai Lucky Shah, who manages to get the Guru's body and to cremate it without being caught. He sets his own house on fire to hide the funeral pyre. At the exact same time, Bhai Jaita gets the Guru's head and takes it on this dangerous, long journey back to the Guru's son, just to ensure it was treated with dignity. And this is where you see the long-term impact so clearly. The next Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who was the Guru's son, witnessed his father's sacrifice, and it inspired him to create the Khalsa, this order of saint soldiers. Their whole purpose, their sacred duty, was to defend the oppressed and stand up against tyranny. They were basically channeling the spirit of Guru Tegh Bahadur's sacrifice into an organized force for justice. And that just brings us right back where we started, doesn't it? Full circle, back to that community hall in Auckland. As the organizer Shivani Arora put it, this whole event isn't just about looking back. It's about passing these values on. They want their kids to understand who Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji was and what he really stood for: courage, compassion, and defending freedom for everyone. So, the story of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, the Shield of India, it really forces us to ask ourselves a pretty profound question. And it's a question that's just as relevant today as it was 350 years ago.